Hello and welcome to the OKPreps Extra Show. I'm Patrick Prince, joined as always by Barry Lewis. Barry Lewis looks happy because he just came off 2 weeks of vacation in Florida. I'm jealous. I'm envious. Welcome back. First, before we get into our preps, how was your vacation, Barry?
It was great. Always like spending some time on the beach and seeing my sister. So was able to accomplish both in Jacksonville and also saw a fun Jacksonville Jumbo Shrimp baseball game. So I can't get away from baseball entirely.
They're really called the Jumbo Shrimp?
They're really called the Jumbo Shrimp, and I had a shrimp burger, which was just awesome. It was actually a shrimp burger.
What was the biggest takeaway watching the Jumbo Shrimp play baseball?
They're really good, and the future's bright for their parent team, the Marlins. So they've already clinched a spot in the AAA International League Championship Series. So it's been a good year for the Jumbo Shrimp on and off the field.
All right, good to know. Appreciate that update on the Jumbo Shrimp. All right, let's talk a little high school football. We are in the midst of our annual all-world coverage where you rank the top 10 players at 7 positions. We also have feature stories to accompany our world, which goes on for a couple more weeks or so, right, Barry?
Yes,
August.
voting continues until 2 p.m. on Monday, August 11th. So urge you to vote if you have not done so already
We're
at
going to talk
okprepsextra.com.
We're going to talk a little bit about the quarterbacks and some defensive backs. But first off, Barry, why don't you just give us a sense of how the selection process works? As you noted before we went live here, there's a little misconception on what this list is. So why don't you tell us?
Yes, it is not a recruiting list. It's not the list of at each position the top 10 college recruits. Um, it is not that. Now, a person's college recruitability is part of the criteria. It's a third of the criteria. The other two-thirds, you got one-third for a player's past production and one-third on what we project they will do for their team in the upcoming season. And then you've got one-third as far as their college potential. So while college potential is a part of the ranking, it is only a third of the ranking. So this is not a top 10 recruiting list for each position.
Do you consult coaches on this list? Do they have input?
They have some input, obviously, but in the end, for good or bad, the final decision is mine. So I'll take the blame. But yes, I'll take suggestions from coaches, others, staff members, and but in the end, I've got to make the decision. Someone's got to make the decision, sort of like with the postseason All World Awards.
Yeah, okay, fair comparison. Well, let's talk about quarterbacks a little bit. Tell us why you picked who you picked for the number one quarterback, because you could have easily gone with a couple of others. Tell us about that process.
Yes, there were three, the top three. Any one of them could have been number one. You've got Drew Frankenfield from Owasso, Easton Webb from Sand Springs, and Carson Kirby from Bixby. So any one of the three would be a deserving number one, but we wrote the feature story. I wrote the feature story at Easton Webb because we've already done a lot of Drew Frankenfield, but Drew Frankenfield is gets the slight edge at number one, and then it's Webb two and Kirby three. And but what is really neat is that could really change after the first few weeks of the season because there's this unique opportunity where they're all going to play, they're all going to face off against each other in the first few weeks of the season. That is really unique because you got the Battle of the Burbs on August 28th at TU, where you got Frankenfield and Kirby going at it, as they did a couple times last year.
Mhm.
And then later on, you've got Webb against Kirby when Sand Springs opens the season against Bixby, and then Sand Springs plays Owasso. So you got Webb against Frankenfield. So you could see the top three quarterbacks on the same field, or two of the top three on the same field in each of the first 3 weeks of the season. So if you love watching great quarterbacks, readers can see for themselves close up. who they would view as the number one quarterback.
At least for right now, what gave Frankenfield the edge?
Again, it's just really so close. Frankenfield just performed at such a high level last year, especially just as a sophomore. And so that gives him the slight edge. Webb is really coming on, had a great season last year, and his college stock is starting to zoom up. I think it had been thought for quite a while, and I because he was an OSU baseball commitment since he was a freshman season. He's since decommitted from baseball, so it looks like he may be trending towards a football career if he can't play both. I think he probably would like to play both or try to play both. It's sort of like Archie Bradley 15 years ago. He's really highly thought of in both sports. And then you've got Kirby, who was in our, like Frankenfield, they both were at times in our all-world top 10 overall during the season last year. He's won two state championships. He's done it all, just about. And so any one of the three is a deserving number one. And I think it's going to all play out at least early in the season when they all face off against each other.
It's I'm intrigued by Easton Webb, Barry. I know we've written about him, and he's not come out of nowhere. We know who this kid is, but I'm glad you mentioned the Archie Bradley comparison because when we wrote about him a little bit ago, that's exactly what I thought. I go, he sounds like Archie Bradley a little bit. Can you just tell us a little more about this kid's game? Is he like a big kid? Is he a pocket passer, dual threat guy? I've never seen him play. I've only read our story. So why don't you tell us just a little bit more about him?
I mean, he can run, but I think I wouldn't really call him a dual threat guy like uh like Bird Ficklin was for Muskogee. He's not that type of quarterback that doesn't really have to be. Just got a great arm, as you can imagine, considering all the success he has had as a baseball pitcher. He's shown he can pressure doesn't phase him. Again, he showed that on the baseball field by a masterful shutout against Owasso in the state semifinals back in 2024. Uh, he's got I really like just from the what briefly I've seen him on the field and talked to him. It's just like he's got the and I would say this about all three of those quarterbacks. They've got the personality to be a big time quarterback, and that's important. Leadership ability, and he's got the physical tools. I think he's got everything it takes to be a big time college football recruit. And yes, he is gaining a lot of attention from recruiters.
Well, as I mentioned at the beginning, throughout this all-world process, we'll be doing stories on some of the kids at the different positions. I really liked our intern Parker Gerald's story on the Booker T defensive back Keenan
Marley, yes.
Farley. It's not a hard name. I don't know why I can't get that right. But I thought another one of our interns, Annie Davenport, took some really nice photos of him. Parker wrote a good story, just a nice look at one of the area's best defensive back, TU commit. But speaking about the defensive backs as a whole, you're very excited about this list, Barry. Tell us why.
Yes, I think in all the years we've been doing this, and this has been over 15 years, that this is the best group in the summertime of 10 defensive backs that we've ever had. Because all of them have, again, college recruiting is just part of the criteria on the list, but often the list is filled with those who have really good college potential. But this is the first time that all 10 defensive backs have major college, either have are committed to a major college or have major college offers. So the potential of these 10 is just tremendous. I mean, that's there are a lot of good defensive backs who did not make the rankings. Uh, it was really tough to cut down to 10 at the defensive back, as well as receivers too. So um, it's there are it's a great list.
Okay, if you had number 11, who would be number 11? Who was the first one out?
I wouldn't say that's easier to say at the receiver position because actually, so we'll segue there.
No, hold on. Before we do that, I want to ask. Okay, so let's do the opposite. Who's number one on the DBs?
Samaj Stanford, but that was really difficult again with Braden Presley. And I'm glad you asked me that so we can explain why did Samaj Stanford, who transferred from Jenks to Broken Arrow, get the number one edge over Braden Presley. Both would be very deserving of number one, but I gave the edge to Samaj. It is so even, but he gets the edge because he's had 2 years of really good high school production. In Braden, because of injuries, he really didn't. His time on the field was limited until last year when he had his really breakout season. So that's the only thing really separating them as far as why Samaj is number one, Braden's number two.
All right, let's talk about receivers. What do you think of those guys?
Well, it is easy to tell you who would have been the number 11 list. Again, it was really tough to get down to top 10. And the number 11 on my list was Julius Wilson of Owasso, who I think is a tremendous talent. He's getting power four looks. Uh, the only reason he didn't make again, really tough list, only had 20 catches last year, was limited as he moved over to Owasso. I think he had some injuries. Um, and we have two other Owasso receivers on the list. Uh, but again, the caliber receiver in this area is just so tremendous. Carter Nathman of Cassia Hall was right there too. He was on the list last summer and didn't make it this time for a similar reason, although he had 24 catches last year, although he scored on almost about half of them. So both of them are really big play receivers and would be on that list in about any other year. So it's really tough to leave them off. But 10 great receivers, and that is very challenging.
Tell us about your number one receiver.
Rejoice Christian Zizi Aquafuluese. I think I'm close on how to pronounce that last name.
That sounded pretty close. Not bad.
I'm just going to call him ZZ. And who would have thought a year ago that he would be number one on the receiver list? It was really tough. Again, this was really tough to pick a number one. ZZ's number one. Dom Forbes from Sand Springs, who had an incredible year last year, is at number two. And three is Noah Hill of Owasso, who we're going to have a feature story on, which we'll talk more about later. But anyway, ZZ is number one on the list. Year ago, he wasn't even playing football, or he had just returned to the football program. He's 6'5", 200 pounds, speed, dynamite player. He'd been focusing on basketball, and he's a really good basketball player too. But at football, he just took off last year. He was really good on both sides of the ball, not just at receiver, but he has just scratched the surface of the potential that he has, and he's being looked at by Power Four schools, and just really excited to see what he can do this year. But he does get the edge at number one.
Owasso has a new transfer defensive back. Why don't you tell us about him?
Yes, I don't know because I don't know if he would have made the top 10. Probably not because the top 10 if he had transferred earlier. But AJ Roberts, a cornerback from Edmond Memorial, is going to be a really nice addition for the Owasso Rams. He just announced this week that he was transferring to Owasso. He was a big part of Edmond Memorial's surprising run to the 6A1 semifinals last year. Had a really solid season, and it's a really nice pickup for Owasso. It sort of reduces the sting of losing Bryson Brown to Broken Arrow.
And before our last topic, before we get out of here, it's we're taping this on a Thursday. Saturday's the beginning of All-State week. What are you looking forward to in that?
Well, it is always a very interesting week. And it is going to be, it starts Saturday with the Hall of Fame induction ceremony as 13 coaches will be inducted into the Hall of Fame. And then you've got the Coaches Clinic that runs Sunday through Thursday. And we'll have a Tulsa World booth out at the clinic at the Tulsa Marriott Southern Hills. So come visit us. Encourage everyone to drop by the Tulsa World booth. We're going to be at the top of the staircase as usual. So please visit us there. And then, of course, all the All-State games that are played throughout the week, Monday through Thursday. It's a little bit different this week, in the upcoming week for All-State week this year. It's being condensed down, shortened a week. So it's not really a week now, it's 6 days. Traditionally, the All-State football game capped the week on Friday night. It's going to be on Thursday now at Oklahoma Baptist in Shawnee. So, and the basketball games are moved up. So the girls' game is on Tuesday, the boys' game Wednesday. A new site for basketball this year, the Memorial Veterans Arena here in Tulsa. So those are some of the changes to look for during the Oklahoma Coaches Association All-State Week. And again, come visit us at the Tulsa World booth at the Marriott Southern Hills. We'd love to talk with you.
All right, we'll call that good for this week. I'm Patrick Prince. He's Barry Lewis. Barry, welcome back. We'll talk again next week.